Hello everybody and welcome back to Odin's movie vlog. I am the critic who is Asanic. Hope you're doing well, and today we once again have a magazine that's writing an article about The Last Jedi for some reason when it has absolutely no reason to, and also they're stupid. So this is from Esquire.com, which why is Esquire.com jumping into the Rian Johnson stuff? Like why are they adding their voice to it? And not only that, why are they showing themselves to be almost incompetent when it comes to covering the story? Matt Miller, what are you doing, bruv? Bruv, what you doing? It says an early Star Wars image proves Luke Skywalker's twist in The Last Jedi was planned from the beginning. This is proof that all those Rian Johnson haters are wrong. Really? See, before I'm gonna let you finish. But the fact that you're trying to say that an image prior to The Last Jedi proves Rian Johnson haters wrong is already, one, ignorant, and two, dude, just stop. So basically, when we actually look into this, the fact that they're trying to say, oh, Esquire, no thank you, no thank you, no, especially after this article, absolutely not, no thanks. The problem here is that even though plans for Luke Skywalker to have a dark turn may have been from the very beginning, the problem is the execution. From the very beginning, when The Last Jedi came out, not only were we critical of the fact that it just doesn't make sense for Luke's character to have that kind of a twist to it, and that Rian Johnson ruined his character because of that, it's even worse that the way that they present the turn doesn't make any sense. You see, from the very beginning, when we look to Luke Skywalker's character, he's a character full of what? Hope. That's right, hope. Guess what? Star Wars, A New Hope. Guess who that New Hope was? Luke Skywalker. Guess what? Even Disney Star Wars, during Rogue One, when they have the scene with Leia, it says what? I have what? Hope. So hope has been a very big part of the Skywalker universe and a big part of the Skywalker family for a very, very long time. I mean, even when you go back to the prequels with Anakin Skywalker, there was a lot of hope that he was the one to bring balance to the Force. Turns out he was not the person. Instead, it was actually Luke who was going to help his father bring balance to the Force. So it ended up being Anakin Skywalker in the end, but it was only through the help of his son, helping him to realize the error of his ways, helping him to understand that there was something greater than himself, the love of his son, which is essentially what happens when we look to Return of the Jedi. That is what ends up leading to it. And it's because of the idealization. It's because of the positive aspect to Luke Skywalker's character. The fact that he is not going to kill his father. The fact that he's able to show compassion to his father. The reason why Last Jedi makes no sense is because all that we're given is, oh, he saw that Kylo Ren was toying with the dark side, or was losing to the dark side, and so he thought for a moment that he might kill. Like, no. That's not a part of Luke Skywalker's character. And then even if you're able to say, okay, well then it's been 30 years plus, so therefore he would have gone through some changes. Okay, I'm saying that you could probably have written a story that would have explained how Luke Skywalker could have potentially have gotten to that point, but you didn't tell that story in The Last Jedi, and to my knowledge, you did not tell that in any novelization either. No one has actually gone into the 30-year period, the 30-year span between Return of the Jedi and the events of The Last Jedi. No one has been able to really connect those dots other than saying, oh, well, he lost hope. I'm sorry, that's not a good enough reason. So just because you're able to find, just Esquire, Matt Miller, man, bruv, just because you were able to find an image from, I think it says 2013. Oh my goodness, 2013, right after Disney had taken over. So it was a Disney idea, is what has been confirmed here. Not a Lucasfilm idea, not a George Lucas idea, but a Disney idea, which makes tons of sense. Early image concept art is supposed to prove that this was planned from the beginning. I don't think anyone has denied that this was planned by Disney. No one has denied that this was at some point planned by Disney to happen. The problem is, and the criticism that comes from the Phantom Menace, or the so-called Rian Johnson haters, as this guy tries to say it, is the fact that it makes absolutely no sense with what has been already established by his character, and on top of that too, that there are other ways that that could have been portrayed and could have been explained, but we never got. Because, why? Rian Johnson can't write. Even he himself has admitted this point. But let's actually even get into Matt Miller's, oh, you just know it's going to be a fair article. You just know that it's going to be so truthful. Just by the very fact alone. This, oh my goodness, the undertitle alone, the undercard. This is proof that all the Rian Johnson haters are wrong. Well, if you thought that, Matt Miller, maybe you shouldn't be writing for Esquire.com. It's amazing. It's amazing to me, the people that they allow to write articles these days, because no. This doesn't prove anything. All it shows is that Disney had this stupid idea from the very beginning, and on top of that, Rian Johnson screwed things up even worse because they could have probably told a really cool story about Luke Skywalker turning to the dark side that could have possibly made some sense Even though, if you just look to the history, if you look to the extended universe, it doesn't make any sense. But of course, they said, "Oh, that's all retconned. We're not gonna worry about that." Even though also RubyWeb.com just talked about an article about how Padme is going to be brought back, which makes no sense whatsoever, because if you watch Clone Wars, which I don't think anyone in Disney Star Wars has actually watched because, oh, it's too dark. Really? Try watching it. It's moving. It's brilliant. It's amazing. I just did a video the other day when I finished it because it was so moving and so touching to me. And one of the cool things to do with the last story arc is a Yoda story arc where they explain how Force Ghosts happen and how you need a special training in order to make that happen. So Padme showing up makes no sense whatsoever because, one, she was not a Jedi, and two, she did not receive this training to be able to manifest herself. The fact that even Qui-Gon Jinn, as revealed in the Clone Wars, the fact that even Qui-Gon Jinn cannot manifest himself is proof enough. And I'm not really throwing up the spoiler alert up here because I don't really think it's a spoiler. It's more of an interesting point, an interesting fact that I didn't know. But guess what? Disney has confirmed that that is canon. Disney has confirmed that the Clone Wars is a part of canon. And so therefore, if they were to do that, they would turn into a canon. But we know they don't care about canon. They can just explain things away with their nifty little story group. Oh, man. Star Wars Last Jedi finally revealed an older and wiser Luke Skywalker. Really? No. What? Older and wiser Luke Skywalker? Decades after we last saw him in Return of the Jedi. His return was teased. This is Esquire.com? His return was teased? Bruv, I know I make mistakes, but bruv, you're writing for Esquire.com. This is probably why you shouldn't be writing for Esquire.com anymore. His return was teased throughout The Force Awakens, with director J.J. Abrams making fans wait for the second entry in the new trilogy to see the character's face. But when Rey travels to find Luke Skywalker in his exile in Last Jedi, she finds a man much different from the hero we remember, and it's never explained how he got there. It is never explained how he got there. And you could try and say, oh, but this one scene, they talk about it. No, it's never explained. It is never explained. Luke is a darker character. He's no longer the bright-eyed boy on Tatooine after getting betrayed by one of his students. Luke cut himself off from the Force. He went into exile, abandoning the hubris of the Jedi and leaving the Resistance to fight the First Order on their own. Again, go back to the very beginning there. After getting betrayed by one of his students, he cuts himself off from the Force? If that's all you have, if that's all that Rian Johnson has to explain how he's now a curmudgeon-y old man living on an island by himself, okay, sure, yeah, that makes sense, right? That makes sense, right? Right? Anyway, since the film was released, The Last Jedi has become one of the most polarizing entries in the franchise to date, with fans taking issue specifically with this grumpy, older Skywalker, and also the fact that they don't really explain really well how he got there. Many argue that Luke never would have changed this much. It's true, because he wouldn't. That he would remain a hopeful, passionate child well through adulthood. And see, all that language, he would have remained a passionate child well through adulthood. Well, no, he would have remained a hopeful and passionate person through his life. Guess what? Because characters can do that. Characters can get through dark moments, and guess what? If you read any of the EU, like I have currently reading through the Thrawn trilogy, if you had known anything, and I mean, I've had people talk to me about so many other stories that address Luke Skywalker and show that he maintains hope even in some dark times, then yeah, he can absolutely do that, and it would make absolute sense. On the same token, being someone who's not read all of the EU, I can say there probably could have been a storyline, a story arc, where you could explain Luke going to the dark side, or at least Luke becoming this grumpy person. But you could have, one, explained it a hell of a lot better than you did, because there was no explanation, really. And two, you could have presented him in a much different light instead of as an annoying old character. I'm sorry, like that's just what the fact is. Luke, they argue, would exist in some creepy stage of arrested development, never maturing or growing out of young adulthood. Sound familiar? Wow, thank you. Yeah, so remember, oh yeah, you're a bunch of man babies. Well, this person is trying to say that the people arguing are man babies. Dude, you don't even know what you're talking about. Are you ignorant? Seriously, these fans largely blame Rian Johnson, who wrote and directed The Last Jedi, for fundamentally and incorrectly altering the beloved character, because he messed it up. However, a new early image from Christian Alsman, a concept designer supervisor at Lucasfilm, shows this darker Luke Skywalker had been planned well before The Force Awakens. Oh, look at that! Man bun Luke! Oh man, man bun Luke. This is great. Guys, can we please get some memes from this? Because this is fantastic. This is the early concept art that's supposed to prove all the Rian Johnson haters wrong. If anything, this proves the Rian Johnson haters correct, because this is a stupid image of Luke Skywalker. He's got a man bun. Man bun Luke Skywalker. Oh, but it proves it. It proves it. Doesn't explain anything, but it proves it nonetheless, because, yeah, Esquire.com. On his Instagram, Alsman posted a picture of the concept design of Luke Skywalker with the caption, "My first image I made for Star Wars The Force Awakens. This was January of 2013. Luke was being described as Colonel Kurtz type hiding from the world in a cave. I couldn't believe I was getting to make this image, and I got a George Fabuloso on it to boot." Sure. This image was, of course, made long before The Force Awakens was released in 2015, except it was also under Disney Star Wars at that time. Even that clearly writers were comparing Luke Skywalker to Marlon Brando's iconic character from Apocalypse Now. Kurtz, as you'll remember from the Francis Ford Coppola classic, was a brutal and ruthless leader who went insane while isolated in the jungle of Cambodia. If you're trying to say that Luke Skywalker was just like Colonel Kurtz, you're out of your mind. Given this description, writers had originally intended Skywalker to be much darker than what ended up being on the screen in Last Jedi. Well, maybe it would have turned out to be a better character, and at least would have made sense, because guess what we got? Made no sense. Also, what's interesting about Alsman's post is George Lucas also weighed in on and approved this depiction of Luke Skywalker. He claims that he got the approval of the character. And also, too, just because you got the approval of a certain image doesn't mean you got the approval of a certain backstory. Just saying. This should work as unequivocal proof. Here we go. This stupidity. This should work as unequivocal proof to haters that Rian Johnson's depiction of Luke Skywalker was not a massive screw-up, but a complex character arc that had been planned from the beginning by Disney, Star Wars, and yes, they screwed it up. Oh, man. Esquire.com. I was wondering why I don't read you ever. And now I can understand why. But anyway, guys, what are your thoughts on Esquire.com? I mean, is this proof? Is this unequivocal proof? Do you even know what that phrase means? Do you even know what unequivocal means? I mean, you messed up in the very beginning, so I'm starting kind of... Did you have a thesaurus open as you were writing this? His return was teased? His return was teased? Really? I mean, I'm sorry. I don't like nitpicking like that. I don't like going after someone for making mistakes, because that's what we all make mistakes. Again, I admit that I make mistakes all the time. But even with this being the case, this does not prove anything. This does not prove haters wrong. Just because you showed man bun, just because you showed man bun Skywalker doesn't mean anything. Man bun Jake Skywalker, great, fantastic. That doesn't prove anything. That doesn't prove anyone wrong. Just because Disney may have had it planned from the very beginning does not mean that the character arc made any sense whatsoever, or that the character was consistent with the Luke Skywalker that we were left with after Return of the Jedi. Because guess what? You left kind of a 30-year gap where you didn't explain how he became the person that he became, and the only thing that you have is, oh, because he was betrayed by a student. Really? Really? Is that all you got? Guys, I would love to hear your thoughts on this madness down below in the comments. Also, if you like this video, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe. It really does help me out a lot. You are all amazing and beautiful people. Have a great day, and as always, God bless. And one more thing, just to end on a high note, because Dork Side of the Force sometimes can leave us little nuggets of goodness. Star Wars, The Mandalorian sources confirm Carl Weathers' involvement. I like me some Carl Weathers, so I'm totally down for that. And with all the other casting that's been going on with that movie, or rather with that TV series, I'm actually kind of excited for it. So see, I can be positive about it, not about this. Have a good day, guys.